Good evening. I need to make an intro for this, don't I? I really should have done that a while ago. Uh, Good evening. Welcome back to another Classic Comics live stream. Hope you're doing well this Halloween season. I guess we'll just go ahead and jump right into it here. So this is going to be another kind of Marvel or MCU heavy stream. So we'll just start off here. First story I'm going to take a look at, as you probably have heard. The MCU Blade movie has hit another stumbling block. This is from, who is it from? Variety, from Variety. Marvel's Blade removed from release calendar. The Daywalker will have to wait a bit longer to have his time in the sun. Marvel Studios has removed its reboot of Blade, starring Mahershala Ali as the titular half vampire, from the release calendar. It was dated for November 7th, 2025. So basically a year from now. Meanwhile, Marvel added three untitled projects to the schedule for February 18th, 2028, May 5th, 2028, and November 10th, 2028. The comic book empire's decision to take Blade off the docket was widely expected after Disney CEO Bob Iger stated in an earnings call on May 7th that Marvel will release, quote, a maximum of 3 movies a year. The 4 superhero films Disney previously had slated for 2025, including Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and the Fantastic Four First Steps. Blade is the project furthest from starting production. Director Jan Demange of Lovecraft Country also exited the film in June, further delaying the project after a litany of setbacks. Blade first jumped from a November 2023 to September 2024 release. So this was supposed to be out around this time last year. It was the original release. After the first director on the film, Basim Tariq, departed the production in 2022. Demange stepped in as director, but following the 2023 WGA strike, Marvel suspended pre-production and pushed the movie again to November 2025. Regular Marvel scribe Eric Pearson, Fantastic Four Thunderbolts Black Widow, has taken on screenwriting duties following passes by Michael Green, Stacey Osei Kuffour, Michael Starberry, Bo DeMeo, and Nick Pizzolatto. And Bo DeMeo is the guy who did that X-Men series, the X-Men 97, I think. Marvel first announced the project in 2019 at San Diego Comic-Con following a meeting between Ali and Marvel chief Kevin Feige, in which the actor pitched himself for a reboot of Blade, the film trilogy led by Wesley Snipes from 1998 to 2004. Known by the alter ego of Eric Brooks, Blade is one of the most classically horror characters in Marvel's roster. He can wield vampire powers without their weakness to daylight, which fuels his mission to eradicate the bloodsuckers from the earth. Yeah, I mean, this really does demonstrate how Marvel, for all their success, when they moved away from, because the early Marvel films were done by, before Disney bought in. They weren't, I'm trying to think when was the first. I think they got bought by Disney somewhere around the Winter Soldier. I think maybe like after Winter Soldier, they were now owned by Disney, controlled by Disney. And obviously, they've been drifting in a certain direction ever since. And rumors have said that this movie, there were delays and rewrites on the script because Ali didn't like the script because, at one point I think they said basically they were going to do the MCU number on it. They added in some female characters, and basically the film was really going to be them. They were going to be the main characters, and Blade was going to be more, basically sidelined in his own movie and playing second fiddle to these female characters. So typical Marvel MCU stuff. And Ali, I guess, didn't like that. So there have been, I don't know, at least a couple of rewrites. But I mean, how hard is this? Blade's a pretty straightforward character. Give him some vampires to fight, some kind of looming supernatural threat, probably vampire related, but I guess it could be something else. And, it's not, it ain't that hard, folks. It ain't that hard. At least not if you know what you not if you know what you're doing. So who knows when this thing is going to get made? We'll see. And who knows if Ali's going to do it? Because I think I saw somewhere that I think he's like 50 now, or he's going to be 50 soon. And questioning, do you want to start a superhero franchise with a guy who's already in his 50s? So I don't know. Um, I don't know. He may wind up walking away from this thing. Who the heck knows? Okay, now from one guy maybe walking away, we got another actor who's going to be maybe coming back, another MCU actor. So this is from comicbookmovie.com, and I saw this just maybe an hour or so before I started the stream. Josh Brolin now said to be in talks to return as Thanos. Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars are shaping up to be massive MCU events, and the latter in particular could easily wind up being the most ambitious superhero movie ever made. Even though no characters have been officially confirmed to appear just yet, the movie is expected to feature a new roster of Earth's mightiest heroes. Then it says in parentheses, the Thunderbolts team are rumored to form the basis of these new Avengers. Really? Why? Along with the surviving members of the original team. We have also heard that at least some variants will be involved, as well as characters from 20th Century Fox's Marvel movies. Of course, we do know that Robert Downey Jr. will be back, but as Dr. Doom, who may or may not turn out to be a Tony Stark variant. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Just in case Secret Wars wasn't already sounding way too jam-packed, we recently reported that Thanos may also show up. And My Time to Shine Hello is now claiming to have confirmed that Josh Brolin is in talks to reprise his role as the Mad Titan. The scooper also mentions that Peter Parker will go to college in Spider-Man 4, though this wouldn't exactly be a major revelation. How big a part Thanos will have obviously remains to be seen, but with so many other heroes and villains fighting for screen time, we can't imagine he will have a significant role. There's been some speculation that the powerful villain might be involved in the creation of Battle World with or in place of the Beyonders. Yeah, I mean, if he had the gauntlet, then he could do something like that. I mean, he can't just do that himself. With the Infinity Gauntlet, he could do it. Of course, anyone with the Infinity Gauntlet could probably do it. Avengers Doomsday arrives in theaters on May 1st, 2026, followed by Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027. Both films will be directed by the Russo brothers, who also make their MCU return after helming Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Quote, being able to create stories and explore characters within the Marvel Universe fulfilled a lifelong dream of ours, and we discovered a powerful connection with audiences in each film that we made. We're thrilled to collaborate once again with Kevin, Lou, and the entire Marvel team to bring this epic adventure and storytelling to new and surprising places for both the fans and ourselves, said the Russos in a statement after the San Diego Comic-Con panel. Have another look at some photos of Robert Downey Jr. that Robert Downey Jr. shared to Instagram after the big reveal. Hmm. Okay, so obviously they are pulling out all the stops here. They're bringing back the Russo brothers to direct. They're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. And there are persistent rumors Chris Evans is going to return as well. You'll probably see Thor in it. So they're basically they're getting the gang back together, and it's probably going to work. It will probably work when they announce the whole thing of Robert Downey Jr. returning and becoming Doctor Doom. I said, hey, this is probably going to work. It's a stunt to bring audiences back in, and to put butts in seats again, and it will probably work. And if they do bring Thanos back, that will work too. that will make these movies hits. Probably they will make money and they will bring people in. And of course, people are saying this is desperation, and yeah, I think there is some truth to that. They're obviously trying to recapture the magic, so to speak. And I guess whether it works or not will be somewhat maybe a matter of opinion, but obviously they're gonna be back, and it's gonna make this movie a success. Okay. All right. Let me move on to the next one here. Hold on just a moment. Okay. Okay, and this is from Comic Book Resources. First look at Herbie the Robot in the Fantastic Four First Steps revealed. Marvel fans just got a new look at Fantastic Four First Steps' Herbie. An ex post at New York Comic Con revealed the first family's iconic robot inside a new Marvel logo comprised of characters from across Marvel's adaptation lineup. Also, with a first look at Herbie, the logo also featured a sneak peek at Johnny Storm's Human Torch, the cast of Agatha All Along, Thunderbolts, and Captain America Brave New World, as well as figures like Daredevil, the Watcher, and Jeff the Land Shark from Marvel Rivals. Jeff the Land Shark, I don't know anything about that. And here they have a picture of it. Here's the tweet from Brandon Davis. Well, can I bring this? There we go. So there you see the logo, the full logo. Yeah, so not exactly Marvel's greatest hits here. Okay, and there you see Red Hulk. And then, of course, then we see Herbie right here. And I got to say, it looks pretty good. Um, he really is a pretty good adaptation of the character. He has this he looks like the character from the original cartoon, but also has kind of, an R2D2 kind of feel to him, which he should have, because obviously Herbie was a take a R2D2 kind of type character they put in here to, make basically to appeal to kids. And that was a common thing back there around the late 70s, early 80s. Just about every cartoon would have some kind of character, that would appeal to kids. And particularly after Star Wars came out, just about every other cartoon had some kind of robot sidekick that was obviously R2D2 inspired. And, in that Fantastic Four they're talking about, it aired back in the late 70s, I think around 78. And at the time, they used Herbie instead of the Human Torch. Now, I'm not really clear on what the actual reasoning was for that. I've heard different things. One I heard was they had, I think, is that they were planning to use the torch for something else, and I'm not sure what it was because I think it might have been Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends because I've always had a strong suspicion that the original plan for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was going to be Spider-Man, Iceman, and the Human Torch. And that maybe at the last minute they kind of changed it and created Firestar in order because they said we got to give girls something here. We have to give girls something that will appeal to them. And maybe that's the case, that the torch was supposed to be, committed to that show instead, because these were pretty close together. Because I think, like I say, the Fantastic Four series was 78, and I think Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was what, like 81? 80, it was 80, 81, maybe right around in there. But I've also heard, and I don't know if it's true, that they decided not to put Torch in it because they were afraid that kids would see the Human Torch and then they might try to set themselves on fire or something. And and I remember as a kid hearing that and thinking, oh, that's just ridiculous. But, having lived some years since then, I don't know. Maybe not such a bad idea. I remember somewhere in the mid 80s, there was a story about there was a couple of kids, one kid in particular. So they were fans of, I guess, of Motley Crue. And, Motley Crue back then, one of the stunts they would do, like in their performances, is I think it was Nikki Sixx. He would wear like these leather pants. And what they would do is they would put gasoline on the pants and then set it on fire. And that appears in one of their videos. And I forget, it was one of their early ones, like maybe Too Young to Fall in Love. I think it might, or maybe Shout at the Devil. I don't know. It was one of those. And I guess these kids, they saw that. They saw that in the video. And so they decided to try and do it themselves. And the thing with Nikki Sixx is what they would do is they would like put the gasoline on a rag and then like rub the gasoline, wipe it onto the pants before setting it on fire. But these kids, of course, didn't know that. So what they did is this one kid had some leather pants, he put them on, but then they just poured the gasoline onto the pants. And of course, it ran down his leg and into his boots, kind of pooled in his boots. So then when they set the pants on fire, of course, the fire went right down into his boots and it severely burned his feet and lower legs. And I don't think he died. I think the kid survived, but I'm sure he was. I'm sure his feet were badly damaged. And so you can laugh and say, "Oh, that's dumb. Kids wouldn't do that." Don't be so sure. But anyway, it is interesting to see that he'll be in there, and I wonder if they'll just have one because in the comics, they eventually, of course, adopted Herbie in the comics. And he wound up being kind of like the prototype. And eventually they had it set up where Reed had several of these robots that were like his assistants in the lab and would run around performing various tasks. So I wonder if it'll just be Herbie or if there'll be other ones. It is cool to see him in there though. So that's one thing to look forward to in this movie. Unless I don't know, unless they unless they make him a lesbian or something, which I guess they could always do. Okay. All right. Next one here. And this is I think this one is also from comicbookmovie.com. Okay, rumors. Sony Pictures still planning a Sinister Six movie. Okay, Sony's Pictures has been trying to get a Sinister Six movie off the ground for years. Yeah, over a decade. Because when they first talk about that? I think it was. I mean, was it before the first Andrew Garfield movie, Amazing Spider-Man? Because I know where they were doing it after that, but I think maybe even before that there was talk about a Sinister Six, like back in the 2000s, if I remember right. And if that's the case, then you're talking it's probably over 15 years we've been hearing about this. And the closest the project came to making it to the screen was when Drew Goddard was attached to write and direct a spin-off of the now defunct Amazing Spider-Man franchise. Goddard had actually completed his script before the movie was scrapped, and the story would reportedly have focused on a group of villains, most likely Rhino and Harry Osborn's Green Goblin, along with new takes on the Vulture, Dr. Octopus, Mysterio, and Kraven the Hunter, doing battle with Andrew Garfield's Wallcrawler before ultimately finding redemption. Garfield spoke about his involvement with the project during a 2021 interview with Collider. Quote, I don't know how close it got, but I definitely had a few meetings and it was really exciting. I've got to say, because I love Drew so much and I love Cabin in the Woods and the other stuff that he's made. We just got on like a house on fire. I loved his vision. He's so unique and odd and off kilter and unconventional in his creative choices. So that was definitely a fun couple of months. It would have been cool. Maybe one day he'll get to do it, but it would have been cool. Of course, a lot has changed since then. And even though the Marvel cinematic universe has a new Spider-Man, Sony still has its SSU movies. The Venom films may have been a success, but Morbius and Madam Web were far from it. And there's a chance that Venom: The Last Dance and Kraven the Hunter underperforming could signal the end of the franchise. Even so, Scooper My Time to Shine Hello believes that the studio is forging ahead with a new Sinister Six movie. The previous movies have dropped a few hints that Sony was still interested in putting a villainous team together. Michael Keaton's Vulture showing up in Morbius's lambasted post-credit scene, for example. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But it was assumed that the idea would have been shelved at this stage. Garfield did reprise his Peter Parker role for Spider-Man No Way Home and is said to be locked in for at least 2 more MCU appearances. One would assume at least one of those will probably be in Secret Wars, I would think. So perhaps Goddard's original concept with a very different team could be revisited. Um, so what do you think? Any interest in SSU set Sinister Six movie? And I assume SSU means Sony Spider-Man universe, right? Um, but again, it's the Sony Spider-Man. It's so silly to call it a Sony Spider-Man universe because there's no Spider-Man. It's so dumb. Uh, yeah. And this thing I would think is almost guaranteed to fail. Oh, hello. Taylor Swift greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, and Doctor Who. Greetings, sir. Thank you for stopping by. So, I mean, it's just so. Again, I mean, you're talking about a universe where there is no Spider-Man, and I would have thought maybe you could at least maybe do it with Venom, where they're gunning for Venom or something. But apparently, Tom Hardy said he's through with Venom after this Last Dance, and he's not going to play him again. Of course, who knows? Money talks, and I suppose they could always lure him back. But yeah, trying to get the cinematic universe off the ground with a Spider-Man cinematic universe off the ground without Spider-Man is just, it's a fool's errand. It's doomed to fail. There are a few characters in Spider-Man's sort of world that could work, I think, as solo characters. I always think of what are they called? The Web Slingers, who were a team of heroes that appeared, I think, back in the late 90s, maybe. You know, they could probably work, I think. And there are some others that could. But expecting much of this without Spider-Man himself is just silly. And I don't know. I don't know who they think they're fooling. And this Sinister Six movie, if they did make it, would be a disaster because, again, you're talking about 6 characters, all with pretty elaborate powers, and they're going to have somebody to fight. You would assume Spider-Man, but maybe somebody else. And if it's not Spider-Man, I mean, nobody's going to care. And it's, again, you're talking a whole team of characters. So you're talking probably spending Avengers or Justice League level money on this. It's going to have a huge budget. And if they're going to, if they're not even going to fight Spider-Man, I mean, it's doomed to fail. You'd probably be lucky to get Justice League numbers. I don't know. And I don't know what, I don't know. These filmmakers, these producers, sometimes they just get an idea in their damn head and they're convinced it's going to work. And, you know, they're just going to have to see it through until it blows up in their face, which is fine with me. Hey, you know, it's not my money. Okay. What else? Okay. Actually, now I had mentioned that Josh Brolin might be coming back. And this is something I should have touched on earlier because I got another Josh Brolin related story here, although this is a DC story. This is from Bounding into Comics. DC Studios is too broke to afford Josh Brolin, so they went with Kyle Chandler for Hal Jordan in Lanterns, claims Insider. We know Warner Brothers Discovery has heaps of debt and is trying everything to tighten its belt. Their most infamous trick of the last few years is writing off completed films and ones that were almost finished for tax purposes. They have more tactics than that at their disposal, and there's no shortage of red flags that come with them. Another thing Warner Brothers Discovery can do is stop shelling out as much money for talent as they used to. A-list actors can cost millions, so if they want to avoid that pitfall, the studio will simply quit hiring them. This may have been what happened when Warner Brothers Discovery and James Gunn tried to acquire the services of Josh Brolin to play Hal Jordan in the DCU. Unfortunately, he walked and they couldn't lock down his gravitas, or so the reports say. Most sources make it seem like the Thanos actor did so of his own accord, but they don't get into motivating factors like money. Something broke talks down, and that thing may very well be that Warner Brothers Discovery and DC couldn't or wouldn't meet Brolin's asking price. The scooper known as My Time to Shine Hello claims such is the case in a reaction to the casting of Kyle Chandler as Hal. Quote, DC Studios slash Warner Brothers is broke. Um, and he's talking, this person is talking about in regards to the casting of Chandler. I'm not saying this is a bad choice, but they were aiming higher and they just didn't have the funds. It could also be the case that their funds are adequate, just not allocated wisely enough. A rumor that was unleashed earlier this year painted James Gunn's Superman as one of the most expensive superhero movies ever made, with a price tag of $364 million. Ay, ay, ay. So at 364 million, I mean, that thing's going to have to make, God, what? It's going to have to make over $1.25 billion, right? In order to just to make money. Oh my God. Or at least $1 billion. Oh Lord. Gunn reacted with skepticism and levity on threads, trying to debunk the number. Quote, absolutely not, he responded to an inquiry. How in the world do they think they know what our budget is? Maybe an unvetted article doesn't know the truth, but if it is anywhere close to accurate, it hints that Warner Brothers Discovery is sparing no expense for Man of Steel, while skimping on zeros in their paychecks. You can call that a harsh reality, though it's just business, and whatever Brolin's loss is could be Chandler's gain if the DCU flourishes. Um, yeah, so I mean that doesn't really surprise me. I imagine we're going to be seeing more of this, more belt tightening. And honestly, if they had not been so wildly profligate in the 20 teens and even in the early 20s, maybe, then a lot of them wouldn't be in the financial mess that they're in now. As for Brolin as Hal, I mean, would he have been good? Yeah, he probably would have been fine. I would prefer a Hal that isn't, the aged veteran. This is one of the things that bugs me about this whole DCU is, you know, generally when they start out the universe, the main characters, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, etc., Aquaman, they're all supposed to be roughly pretty much the same age, kind of around 30-ish, we'll say. Um, somewhere in say the range of 27 to 32, let's say something like that. And going with the older Hal, I'd prefer that he be closer to Superman or something like that. But oh well, whatever. I think Kyle Chandler will be fine. And honestly, it's probably a smarter move not to go overboard because I personally suspect that this Lantern show is not going to be a big hit for a couple of reasons. And of course, I've discussed those before. One thing is that most DC fans hate, hate Tom King, who is one of the writers on this thing. And I think there are really not all that many who are big fans of Damon Lindelof either after his hack job on Watchmen a few years ago. And that's setting aside all the other crap that he's done, like Prometheus. And I think he was one of the writers on Star Trek Into Darkness, I think, wasn't he? That crap. And so he's got a bad reputation, I think, within fan, sort of nerd or comic book nerd circles. And honestly, again, and I've said it before, I mean, they're making this Lantern show a detective show, where it got a couple of Green Lanterns investigating a murder in Kansas or Nebraska or wherever. It's like, what the hell? You know, there are plenty of characters that work fine as detectives that you could use. Green Lantern really isn't one of them. But of course, that's what they're doing. So I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's like I say, sometimes it's like they want to fail. It's like how can we botch this? Okay. We're not, what time is it here? Third one. Okay, half an hour. Okay, so this will be a quick one. I probably won't go beyond about 45 minutes here. Um, okay, another Marvel related story here. And again, this is from Bounding into Comics. Nielsen ratings reveal Marvel's Agatha All Along is struggling with audiences. Confirmed Disney Plus series premiere posted worse numbers than The Acolyte. According to the latest figures from Nielsen, like most of Disney's recent projects, it appears Agatha All Along is less the magical ratings powerhouse than they had hoped, and instead yet another Marvel dud. The noted television analytics provided this look into the Disney Plus series' current underperformance on October 21st, with the release of their numbers for the week of Agatha All Along's premiere, September 16th to September 22nd. Per Nielsen's data, across the two episodes that made up its debut, Seekest Thou the Road and Circle Sown with Fate, Unlock Thy Hidden Gate, okay, the Catherine Hahn-led MCU outing pulled in an approximate 426 total viewing minutes for an episode average of 213 million minutes apiece. Given that each episode held a runtime of 35 minutes apiece, a quick calculation suggests that each episode pulled in around 6,085,714 viewers, in doing so earning the series the 8th place spot in Nielsen's top 10 streaming originals chart. Notably, placing ahead of it in orders was Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, The Perfect Couple, The Rings of Power, Emily in Paris, Only Murders in the Building, Into the Fire of the Lost Daughter, what is that? And Tulsa King. Meanwhile, Agatha did manage to beat out Hulu's The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and The Circle, though admittedly not by much. Oh, okay, they got a graphic here that shows the numbers. Okay. And while some may attempt to spin these results as, look, it's not doing that bad, it placed and not at the bottom. It should be noted, as seen above, that not only did the series perform significantly worse than the new season of the widely panned The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, but it also pulled in less viewers than the 2-episode premiere of Disney's last confirmed ratings catastrophe, The Acolyte. As seen in the firm's numbers for the week of June 3rd to June 9th, Leslie Headland's Jedi-themed Snooze Fest pulled in roughly 488 million collective viewing minutes across its 2-episode debut for an average of 244 million each, or based on each episode's approximate 40-minute runtime, about 6,100,000 respective viewers. Okay, they got this here, Acolyte, yeah. So what was ahead? Eric, Sweet Tooth, Bridgerton, Evil, Geek Girl, Dancing for the Devil, 7 million TikTok cult. I haven't heard of half of this stuff. At current, it's unclear just how Disney and Marvel are reacting to Agatha's first public numbers release, as neither entity nor any of their representatives have yet offered comment on the development. However, looking back to how the Acolytes in the Dirt ratings drove the House of Mouse to near immediately Can The Acolyte after its first season finale? Unless the series' subsequent numbers explode upwards, it's likely that Agatha All Along's next episode will be the end of the Witch's Road for Agatha and her coven. Ultimately, just what fate has in store for Agatha All Along will be made clear when the series finale hits Disney Plus on October 30th. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's really surprised, are they? I mean, aside from a few fans of a certain stripe, Disney fans of a certain stripe, no one really expected this thing to be popular. No one really even wanted the show. So it's not surprising that it is struggling to find an audience. Whew. Okay. All right. I got one more here. One more Marvel. Well, no, actually, I don't. I got a couple more Marvel stories here. So, um, okay, I guess I'll go ahead and move to this one. Man, live at 36. Yeah, this is going to be a quick one. And again, this is from Bounding into Comics. Rumor Marvel Studios' Ironheart series to have same tone as Ms. Marvel and will confirm Riri Williams as bisexual. While Marvel Studios remains tight-lipped on their upcoming Ironheart, a new whisper has purportedly revealed a handful of details pertaining to the Disney Plus series. These alleged insights were brought to light by Twitter user at Marvel Updates, a scooper whose track record has seen them correctly break the news of Lady Deathstrike's appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine, Vanessa Kirby's casting as Sue Storm in Fantastic Four First Steps, and Marvel Studios delaying of both Thunderbolts and the aforementioned reboot of their first family to their current dates. Taking to their account on September 25th, at Marvel Updates claimed that the upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever spinoff, quote, will have the same tones to those of Ms. Marvel. Will reveal that Riri Williams is bisexual. Received a positive reception to its first test screenings. Sure it did. And would have had its first episode run for around 50 minutes. So who was this test screening for? Because early test screenings are often done basically for, the employees of the studio, basically friends and family of the people making it. So, if the first test screenings went well, that's not exactly going to be a big surprise, is it? Interestingly, lending credence to this at Marvel Updates information is the fact that they are not the first individual to make mention of the series' supposed bisexual Riri reveal, as that honor belongs to Daniel RPK Richtman, who scooped this exact information all the way back in February 2021. Okay, so this isn't even a scoop, is it? I mean, if that information's already been out here for a couple of years, whatever. Okay, so further, should she be revealed as bisexual, it would represent a significant deviation between her MCU and the comic book incarnations, as the source material has never once depicted Riri as having any non-heterosexual romantic feelings. Oh, you say? Just you wait. she, if she is gay in the show, they're going to make her gay in the comics quicker than you can say, put a chick in it. And while Champions Volume 3 writer Jim Zub has teased that he originally intended for his run on the teen team-up title to fully develop a romantic relationship between Ironheart and her synthezoid teammate Vivian, those plans were ultimately nixed by others in the Marvel offices. Quote, sometimes you have romantic plans for a story and they get vetoed partway through, wrote Zub to his personal Tumblr page in February 2021. If you read a comic by me and wondered why a clear romantic thread just seemed to end for no apparent reason, yeah, maybe that wasn't my choice, thus rendering any such intention fully non-canon. Okay, at current, no official word has been given regarding Riri's storyline or really anything else in the upcoming series. However, given both Disney's current focus on representation over storytelling and Ironheart's confirmed cast consisting of two notable LGBT entertainment personalities in drag queen Shea Coulee, best known for making it to the final round of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 9, and transgender Talk to Me star Zoe Tarakis, odds are good that the above scoop is more true than false. Yeah, probably so. Ultimately, the exact nature of the armored heroine's sexuality will be confirmed when Ironheart hits Disney Plus, or more realistically, its cast hits the press tour when the series hits the House of Mouse's signature streaming service sometime in 2025. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, she'll be all, they're going to put a chick in it and make it lame and gay. I mean, I don't think there was ever any doubt, was there? It's just a standard operating procedure for the House of Mouse these days. So I'd be slightly surprised if she didn't turn out to be uh, a lesbian or to be bisexual or whatever they're planning. Okay. What else here? Am I on time? 41. Okay, I'll do one more. And this is probably the last really significant story I've got here. And then we'll wrap this up. Okay, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter. Okay, Henry Cavill lands starring role in Voltron for Amazon MGM. Henry Cavill is set to star in the new Voltron movie. The Superman actor has come aboard to topline Amazon MGM Studios' live action feature based on the mecha anime. The actor joins Daniel Quintoy in leading the film. The movie is based on the animated sci fi series Voltron Defender of the Universe, which was an adaptation of multiple Japanese anime television shows and ran in the mid 80s. Oh, is that all they got? Oh, okay. I thought there was more to the story. I guess not. Um, poor Cavill. This guy's had such a rough ride. Um, he got jerked around as Superman. And is this Warhammer show that he was doing? Is that still happening? Because it seems like I heard that was being canceled or it wasn't going to go forward or something. Again, because he's a guy who actually values the source material and wants it to be true to what's been done before instead of, updating it for modern audiences, which seems to be, I think, the reason why a lot of people in Hollywood don't like him. And he has kind of gotten not been well served by his time in Hollywood. I'll just say that. And man, he could have been so great as Superman if he had just had the right material. And I mean, he was good anyway for what he did. I mean, the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the Snyder Superman, but that's nothing to do with him. Um, as far as Voltron, I mean, I don't know. I am not a huge Voltron fan myself. I generally like that kind of stuff, like Japanese mecha and all that sort of thing. But I was already kind of into my late teens, I think, when I became aware of Voltron, and it was just kind of past that. And I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never really watched it. So I don't really have a whole lot of opinion on that, and I have no idea who they would be casting him as. I don't know if he'd be a hero or a villain or what. But hopefully it'll be good. I think that Hollywood's record of adapting manga or anime properties is kind of checkered. There have been a lot of disappointments. A lot of people seem to like that One Piece show. That seemed to go over really well. So maybe it'll be more along those lines than being something that is junk. But we'll see. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Well, yeah, I'm at 45 minutes, so that'll be enough. All right, so I want to thank all those who tuned in for the stream and those who will check it out on the rewatch. Please do like the stream while you're here. Please do sub to the channel and check out some of my other videos. Um, What is next? Okay, so Tuesday I will be doing my Trek Talk live stream Tuesday evening. My next episode that I'll be handling will be the original Star Trek episode Devil in the Dark, I think is the next one. I will not be streaming next week and probably won't do a Trek Talk the following Tuesday after that either, because I will be with my National Guard units over the weekend. In fact, I've got a 3-day drill, so I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm going to have to be there early Saturday. So I'm really not going to be celebrating Halloween in any real way. It's going to be an early night for me. Uh, but I hope you all have a happy Halloween. In fact, I'm probably going to maybe watch a horror movie later to sort of wrap up the night. But I hope you all have a happy Halloween this week. And I will see you all and be back in 2 weeks. Have a good night.